The Bitcoin ETF bullish narrative, Bitcoin just went below $57,000. You need to stop listening to market gurus drawing arbitrary lines on charts and making absurd price predictions just like this one. This is actually from 2 days ago, or this one from 29th of April. I'm not saying support or resistance levels are not real, but the markets simply don't care about an arbitrary line drawn by an arbitrary person arbitrarily on a chart. The markets are just filling orders of both buyers and sellers, and the price action indeed wants to go where most trading activity is at. This means that the price of an asset really comes down to one simple denominator, and that is buy orders versus sell orders. Well, a better alternative is finding a point of control on the charts. Here's an example of that. This is exactly where most trading has occurred. That goes for selling orders and also for the buying ones. This brings us to the highest liquidity and trading volume. On charts, everything is about possibilities, and usually successful traders just find positions where they have a higher probability of succeed. This also applies for the ridiculous XRP price predictions that have been circulating on X. This particular case just comes from a $27 per XRP price prediction that was made around 3 weeks ago, and we are actually now sitting below 50 cents. That doesn't mean that I don't believe XRP is going to reach $27 or actually way beyond. It's just that these predictions are made on arbitrary lines. In fact, when Bitcoin was hitting new all-time highs, I did a post on X why I expect markets to crash over 80% when I actually exited most of my positions in crypto, which really comes down to a more tangible factor that is often very overlooked by the masses. And this really comes down to volume. So when you see that Bitcoin was approaching the all-time high, you have a very low volume compared to the previous all-time high in 2021. You don't necessarily need a high volume to make new highs. This chart is the ultimate proof of that, but you do need a high volume to have a strong support level. Any correction is brutal when you are operating under a low volume environment. And that's exactly why we reached a new all-time high for liquidations in the crypto markets in the last days. That's why you should stop listening to people like Michael Saylor, who said you should expect a 10x to a 100x after Bitcoin ETFs. But the reality is very different from what this gentleman over here has been actually saying.